Good morning, Grand Rising. Welcome to Wake Up with Sonia Poulton and guests. It is exactly 9 a.m. GMT, and thank you for being here with me. And I can already see a zillion comments in the live chat, just how it's supposed to be, frankly. How are you? Welcome to a whole new week, a whole new world. In fact, according to Elon Musk, a new world order. Make of that what you want. Thank you for being here. I am so grateful. Hello, Mickey. Hello, Sonia. Hope you're well. Went to see Matt Lattis last night talking with Ricky Lambert. Very conspiracy evening. Hope it was a good one, Mickey. Good morning, Brit Indian and Blind Hip Shaker and Crone and Hope, Love and Peace and Marsh Girl and Sophie Astro Coach and Peter and Marcuson and Maria and Teresa and to our two lovely, glorious, gorgeous mods. Good morning. That is, of course, Crazy Bunny and Soul Sound. And I hope you are all well. And hello, John from Coventry and Denise and Rachel and Short Order Cook and Merv and Borjaws. Wait, I forgot how to pronounce that. Forgive me. Lovely people. We have a super short wake up today, right? I'm on a mission. So I have to be out of here by 10:15. Forgive me, but I will endeavor to get everything in humanly possible. So let's kick off. Let's get cracking. Good morning, Gina and Shells and Paula and Dennis and June and John and Marlena and Christopher and Heidi Ho. Good morning here in Toronto. Lovely to have you here with us. And Misty is in Northern Ireland. And on a plane, we don't have time for a meeting with the Flat Earth Society. I see. Got you. I got you. Morning, Shalini. And good morning, Alison. And good morning to you all. So, you know the news. Of course you do. Trump wins. We've had a Liberal meltdown. And British members of Parliament are forced to eat their words. Isn't it lovely to see? It really is. Elon Musk calls this a new world order and informs everyone that he's not just MAGA, as in Make America Great Again, but a dark Gothic MAGA. Make of that what you will. And Putin is out there also giving a speech about the new world order. So I think there's a theme going on here. And the Guardian newspaper offers counselling to staff who can't cope with the Trump win. And lovely Jules said, looking forward to Jeffrey's take on Trump. Will there be a minute's silence at the start of the show for all the staff at the Guardian? The problem is, the Guardian is exactly one of the reasons that sent people running to vote for Trump. Exactly that. And Australia is contemplating a social media ban for under 16s. What are your thoughts? Interested to hear what you have to say about that. And Keir Starmer told the, I can't even think of any words that I want to describe him right now, but told the Ukrainian president, Zelensky, that our support for Ukraine is unwavering. This was then echoed by Ursula von der Leyen. It's as if they're all part of the same script, isn't it? And if there was ever a perfect time to dump legacy media, it is right now. Right? Whatever you think about Trump, the fact is almost the entire legacy media were lying to us, telling us how well Kamala Harris was doing. It was a lie. They cannot be trusted, right? MSM is dead. And as I said on social media, we just need a coroner to come in and certify it. And hello to Runnerbean. Runnerbean loved the segment on Monday to do with sensitive people. He said, us HSPs are balancing the mad world. I'm one. And I really appreciated that segment. You are very welcome. And I said today that I would play Whom by Fire's new song, but I have no spare time, unfortunately. But I will sooner rather than later. And thank you, Sarah Lou. Sarah Lou is someone on X who is absolutely devoted to getting to the bottom of what happened with Lucy Letby and why Lucy Letby has been convicted of the deaths of so many babies. And Sarah pointed out, thank you for discussing Lucy's case again, Sonia. The interview with Nigel Jacklin was very interesting. The question that Chris raised about the fact that the death rate returned to normal after Lucy was taken off the unit was a good one. If you remember, on Monday, we had Nigel Jacklin with us, statistician, and he was talking about all the very serious holes in the Lucy Letby conviction. And Chris, one of our commenters, asked this question. And Sarah Lou said the answer to it is that the unit was downgraded to a level 1. So they were unable to admit babies under 32 weeks gestation and or with complex health issues. So that explains it. No, Johnny, I'm not live every day, just Monday and Friday. But moving forward, we will be live Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Oh, yes, we will. And before I bring in my first guest, I note that police have now ruled that Liam Payne, obviously former One Direction lead singer, his death is not suicide. 3 men have been charged. I say 3 men. Actually, 3 people have been charged. We were told that Liam had fallen from his balcony of his hotel in Buenos Aires. I believe it was 16th of October. In a statement now translated into English, Argentinian prosecutors have ruled out suicide and said in the state he was in, he did not know what he was doing and could not understand it. We're told that the crimes that the 3 people have been charged with are punishable by a prison sentence of up to 15 years on conviction. They also confirmed one of the suspects included is a hotel worker. They haven't named them. The long statement said that unlawful conduct was discovered, as a result of which 3 people were charged with the crimes of abandonment of a person, followed by death, supply and facilitation of narcotics. So pretty close to what we had assumed had really taken place. The statement added that a detailed analysis of more than 800 hours of video footage from various security cameras in the hotel and others in the street was carried out. The statement went on to add that additionally, the forensic extraction of contents of Liam's phone was carried out. It adds that this led to calls, messages, chats on messaging applications and social networks being analysed. So make of that what you will. They were also analysing several gigabytes of data and examined in a short period of time from the extraction of data from other mobile phones, such as the one at the hotel reception and those of witnesses who volunteered to corroborate the statements. So there you go. There you go. Balconies are high enough, so you can't just easily tip over, said Heel in the silence. I knew it wasn't suicide from the beginning. I know. I hear you, Healing. I absolutely hear you. And can I ask you, where do you watch Wake Up? And I ask this because I'm really keen to find out, where do we find you? Where are you? So let me see. What do we have here? I am going to show you where 2 of our Wake Up people watch us. This is Rebecca. Good morning to you, Rebecca. Says, this was from Monday's show, enjoying a cuppa and watching your show. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I also have another one, which is Teresa. And here's Teresa. Well, you can't see Teresa, but you can see Wake Up screen. Yes, you can. And Teresa said, after work, brew and casserole, rewatching. So here's another photo for your segment. And please do send me where you are watching Wake Up. I'd love to see it. I really would. Good morning to you, Rebecca, and good morning to you, Teresa. I hope you are both fine and dandy. Oh, what's this? At home in my office, John. Yes. And Mac is in Glasgow. Good morning. Good morning, Davina. Good morning, Sonia. Always watch, but never commented before. Always find your work very interesting. Thank you, Davina. I absolutely appreciate it. And welcome to the live chat. Truly welcome to the live chat. It's lovely to have you with us. Really it is. Good morning, Stephen. And what's this? I watch while working, says Gemma. Do you, Gem? Good to hear it. Good to hear it. I'm doing my ironing while listening in my kitchen on my PC, says Tony. I love it. Look at how many productive, wonderful people we have around us. So many. Let's bring in our first guest, because it's a breakneck show, people. And I intend to pack it. Oh, yes, I do. I intend to pack it. Let's add this caller to the stage. Let's see if I've done that properly. Let's have a look. There we go. Good morning, Sultan.
Good morning, Sonia. How are you?
Oh, wonderful to have you with us, everybody. Now, forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Sultan. I believe that you are Sultan Salahuddin. Have I got that correct?
That will do, yes.
That will do. As near as damn it. Thank you so much for being here with us, Sultan. We truly appreciate it. And you are here to talk about the importance of raising funds for Palestine, aren't you?
Yes, I'm here to talk about an initiative that's been set up by a Palestinian doctor from London who's decided to go and give up his life, basically, the comfort of his home, his practice, his family, and spend his time in Palestine to help the people with the plight and obviously the difficulties that they're facing right now.
And that's Dr. Mohammed you're talking about, a UK-based Palestinian A&E consultant. And as you say, he left his life, his family, his job behind in the UK to go back to Gaza and help these people in their hour of need, which indeed we all should be doing. So tell us about the organisation that you've pulled together with my dear old friend Jackie, who arranged for you to come and talk to us this morning.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you both to Jackie and to yourself for fitting us in on such short notice.
No problem.
The project, the initiative itself is called Rebuild Gaza 24, set up by Dr. Mohammed himself with the help of Shameen Suleiman and the Palestinian activist Sarah Wilkinson. They're the coordinators. They set up the project back a few months ago. And what they've done and achieved so far is primarily set up 8 water wells that are providing clean drinking water right now for a number of the displaced population. Which is, the very first thing that they required. The current initiative that we're dealing with, and part of the reason for the event that we're holding tomorrow night, is to provide the doctor with the funding for a mobile medical unit. So he's looking to acquire a 4x4 vehicle, kit it out with medical equipment and supplies. And what he intends to do is to go from displacement camp to displacement camp to provide immediate medical assistance to those that require it.
It's so awful to watch from afar what is actually happening, because we see it, don't we? We see an all-out attack on hospitals, on education, on the food and water supply, and it's absolutely horrific to watch it from here. What can you tell us about the current position? Because it's so difficult getting accurate information about what is actually happening in Gaza.
I think that's one of the issues that we face, the disinformation. Not just through mainstream media, but even on social media. But we speak to the doctor. We spoke with him last night. We speak to Palestinian people on the ground each and every day. And they say pretty much the same thing. There's a lack of basic food, clean drinking water, the diseases that are spreading because of the lack of hygiene. There's the polio outbreak that's been quite recent and has been mentioned in mainstream circles. And then just the displacement of people on a continuous basis. People that we've spoken to have been displaced, 19, 20 times in just the last few months alone. So what do? You set up a tent, which is what they're dealing with right now, basically. And within a matter of days or even a matter of hours, they've got to move. So they grab what they can and they move. And then they have to go through it all over again. We can't even fathom what they're going through right now at the end of the day, Sonia.
No.
I don't think any of us would want to swap lives with anybody out there, including the good doctor himself, who's under constant bombardment. Just a matter of a few days ago, he was at risk in terms of his own life. He came quite close to losing his life from what we can gather.
Let me read you some of these comments. Ian says, it is disgusting to witness what is happening to Palestinians. Shame on us all. And to a degree, it is a shame on us all. And I use that in a general sense because the world is almost sitting back and watching this all happen, isn't it?
Well, I'm afraid you've just said it. We are sitting back and watching it. We're all complicit to a certain degree. I don't want to say in terms of the establishments, but at the end of the day, this has been allowed to happen on our watch with impunity. And how much longer can it go on for? I'm dreading the winter, because this is a people that have gone through a lack of food, a lack of water, most certainly in terms of the stress and strain on the body that they've had to deal with, and now they're going to face a second winter. So it's something that I'm very passionate about. I think we should all be standing up and doing more. I know people are protesting each and every week. I know people are boycotting. They're speaking to their members of parliament. But at the end of the day, I see very little being done on the ground. And I speak about these established charities and NGOs and INGOs and field hospitals. I really have to question what they're actually doing on the ground, because very little seems to be taking effect.
Let me read you some more comments. Milgo says, thank you for shedding light on this humanitarian crisis. Kevin says, Ireland stands with our Palestinian brothers and sisters. Free Palestine. Peter says the media are normalizing genocide. And so here's the thing, right, is that I think Peter has hit the, the point, the nail on the head, is that there is a normalization taking place. It's as if it's just another day in Palestine now. We cannot allow that, right?
I think we've allowed it, Sonia. That's the truth of the matter. I don't know whether it's been normalized, because I can't see how the horrific images that I see can be normalized. But we have become numb to the effect, and we just carry on with our everyday lives, which is one of the issues. We're all going through a cost of living crises. We all have rents and bills to pay. We have families to look after.
Right.
So, what do? Take a look at the images and then carry on with our daily lives.
Right, exactly. Hope says, I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. And Ray J says, media manufacturing consent for genocide. And Shalini raises a fair point and says, I will ask again, why is it down to us? Where's the other Muslim countries willing to help? Ask why they won't. Why won't they help?
I think we have to differentiate between the people of those countries and the establishments, because I think they're all complicit. That's my personal view. I can't see how any human being in any position would not speak out more against some of the atrocities that we've seen taking place.
Right.
So, what can we make of that?
Right.
I believe that they're all complicit in this.
Well, silence has to be compliance, doesn't it, to a certain degree here? Tara says, great guest. I always worry where to send help for Gaza. I want my money to get to the people. I believe we are complicit as a country. So direct us, Sultan. The talent show, Talent for Palestine, is tomorrow. Where can people watch it?
Okay, well, first of all, in terms of directing people, I would advise people to go and check out rebuildgaza24.com. That is the website that's been set up by the doctor himself. They can see updates of videos that he posts on a regular basis of the work that he's doing and completing on the ground. You can also find donation links there. But it is Rebuild Gaza 24. Primarily, it's based on X, but it is also available on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. The event tomorrow is obviously Talent for Palestine. It's going to start at 6 p.m. UK time on Twitter, on X, but will be live streamed at the same time. And thank you for showing me StreamYard, which I will be using.
Excellent.
Hopefully, it's slightly better than OBS Studio. Yes. But it will be going out on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitch, on YouTube, and maybe also Rumble at exactly the same time. So if people aren't on X or aren't familiar with X, by all means, they can tune into any of those other platforms and hopefully get to take part in the show.
Brilliant. Sultan, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for what you're doing. We wish you great success tomorrow, everybody. This is Sultan from Rebuild Gaza. Thank you so much for joining us. Take good care of yourself.
Thank you for your time again today, Sonia.
Thank you, Sultan.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye. Brilliant. Right. Okay. Well, you know what to do. If you're around tomorrow, please, people, please support it. I will put a link in the description for it. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. How are you? What's going on? people, what's going on? Thank you, Sultan, says Randy. Sultan, lots of hearts, says Soul Sound. What says Vanessa? In the last days, critical... That just leapt. In the last days, critical times hard to deal with will be here. From 2 Tim 3-1. Last days of the globalists and a wonderful future ahead. Glorious, glorious day. Do you know what? I feel a new energy. I definitely do. I mean, I do. It's just the way it is. Craig says, free Palestine. And I did notice the comments, by the way, just now about the jabs in Gaza and the outbreak. Interesting, isn't it? Always interesting, I find. Is my next guest here yet? No, but he will be soon. So let me move on. Yes, darlings. Mama is just zooming through everything today, just through necessity, I loved all the celebrity meltdowns this week, by the way. I really did. I mean, I can't help myself, right? There's a side of me which is so loathed what they've done to us. The whole kind of gender agenda, climate agenda, race agenda, how they've tried to divide us, right? How they've done such divisive nonsense, Marxist, communist nonsense that they have been flooding into our world. Hope says, sadly, Trump will not stop it. Hamas terrorist, no, says Thought Crime. I don't think for a second that man is a Hamas terrorist here. Yeah, but the celebrity meltdown was one of the best parts. It really was. Obviously, Emily Maitlis essentially got kicked off of the Channel 4 program because she was swearing. She couldn't control herself. I mean, that is the problem. I literally came from the left. I was born and raised on the left, Labour voter for much of my young life. And obviously now I'm politically homeless. But it's just been really interesting to watch it and actually see that a lot of these leftists actually seem to appear to have very serious mental and emotional health issues. I mean, what does it take to film yourself screaming and crying, edit it, then upload it online? Something's wrong with you. Something's really wrong with you. And so I have seen that meltdown. There's been Cara Delevingne. There's been Paloma Faith. There's been Lady Gaga, Stephen Colbert, Stephen King. It's great. I mean, it's actually great to see. I mean, that whatever comes of Trump at this moment, I've just been enjoying seeing these people busted because they've had it their way for too long. Look, I think my feeling is that the Trump thing is really a backlash to what's been going on. It's not necessarily the embracing of Trump, I don't think. And I think that whether or not Trump pulls off what he and his team claim they are going to, I think the message to the world is immense. It is absolutely a rejection of the madness that we have been subjected to over the last, 10 years. It has been most amusing, Sasha. Brit Indian wants to see them all leave the US like they said they would. They did, didn't they? But of course, they're not going to. You know that. And I think one of the questions that I really want to ask Jeff is, it's becoming increasingly apparent now that it's no longer a conspiracy theory that the 2020 election was stolen, because what you have are all these people going, well, what has happened with all those millions of votes that Biden got? Do you really want to go there, people? Do you really want to go there? And as I said at the start, politicians, they're in a lot of trouble. Obviously, you have people like Wes Streeting, who's now the British Health Secretary, who tweeted back in 2017, Trump is such an odious, sad little man. Imagine being proud to have that as your president. You might have to deal with him now, Wes Streeting. How's that going to work out for you? Intel lady is the best. She's the best. She did she, Stephen? She did a great impression of a meltdown, did she? Shug, I tend to agree with you. Shug said, I bet there will be no release of Diddy or Epstein list. Right. And Super Lisa says, whom does Trump work for? I'm sure he is his own man. I've had eye on him for many, many years. In what way, Lisa? That sounds a little bit creepy. John from Coventry says someone on Reddit was asking how they could register their dead relative to vote for Kamala. I think that says it all. Who was it? It wasn't Ford, was it, that they had in the chair who actually looked dead? Who was that? It wasn't Nixon, was it? I can't remember who it was. We need a national strike to get these people out of Parliament, says Hugo. I hear you loud and clear. Maggie Mac, 2,000 Mules tells it how it was 2020. Donna's saying, going back to what Sultan said, plenty of rich Muslim countries. Why aren't they helping? We've already donated. And Tara said, I know it's not popular to say this, but I always did believe the 2020 election was stolen. Never trusted them. No, Stephen Starmer is not happy. Did you see the three of them on the front row at Prime Minister's question time? It was quite something to witness, really. Christine said the world is on fire. War needs to stop. I hear you loud and clear. But I think what we can all agree on is that MSM has been quite seriously exposed this week. So again, people around here know me, right? They know that I've not been a major Trump supporter, but I'm loving the fallout of it all. And honestly, if they pull off what they claim to, and Kennedy has already started on junk food, which is actually heartening to see. You don't see that often, right? And he's already started on the junk food and the problems with breakfast cereals in America. And that is really interesting. And I'm really interested now in not what anybody has to say about anybody, but what are those people showing me? What actions are they now carrying out? But yeah, MSM has been fully exposed this week, absolutely fully exposed. I never realized how many left-leaning people were actually in MSM, because oftentimes it's right-wingers who are very, very loud in MSM. But there's a whole tranche of left-wingers going absolutely insane, like going insane. These are serious, serious problems. And Kennedy said, President Trump has asked me to do three things: clean up the corruption in our government health agencies, return those agencies to their rich tradition of gold standard evidence-based science, and three, make America healthy again by ending the chronic disease epidemic. If he does even one of those, I will be impressed. I will. Yeah, absolutely. Right? But we need more. Obviously, we need much, much more to happen and to take place. And can I just say, Nut Zero, they're all at it, of course. This week, slum landlord William Windsor has been at his Earthshot Prize. And next week, there is the climate conference in Azerbaijan, the COP29. And the BBC are telling us that 2024 is on track to be the world's warmest year on record. Absolute baloney, right? And our own Ed Miliband is in some serious trouble here. Ed Miliband, of course, has been given the job to oversee the whole kind of net zero climate crisis. And we know that he is very, very much involved with people who have a dog in the race when it comes to climate. But we now discover that Ed Miliband is the person with significant that's interesting, isn't it? Is the person with significant control at a company he used to publish his so-called independent data. And National Energy System Operator Limited, Ed Miliband, is a person with significant control. Not too much compromise there then, not too much, right? Is our guest with us? No, I have got time to do this. Australia is set to ban social media for children under 16. Certainly, they're contemplating it. What do you think? B, in the comments, tweeted me saying, have you seen this? I know we knew it was on the cards for several years, but as a Commonwealth country, the Australian government just passed this into law on Monday, 4th November, 2024. Wait. Oh, yes, it will. Right. This is now the Trojan horse for everything else they will attach to a digital ID pass. Now, this is unpopular opinion. I agree with it. I don't think social media is good for young minds. I really don't. And I think 16 should be the minimum age of use. Yes, I do. I obviously don't want anything to do with digital ID or anything, but we need to be protecting people more. We do not know what we're starting to see, the long-term dangers of social media on young minds. And up to the age of 18, minds are incredibly pliable. So I actually think that there should be a social media ban for up to age 16. And that is probably an unpopular opinion. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think in the comments, people. Tell me what you think. Yes, be happy. COP29, it would be lovely to see the cops arrive. Yes, it would absolutely be glorious. And Chris, do you agree with are you saying you agree with the social media ban? Because Sonia Hanks, yes, what? It was disgusting, wasn't it? What's that? Not sure how they're going to stop kids going on social media. Now, Nick, GB, I think hits the nail on the head. Because even though in principle, I think it's really good to be able to protect them, how is it going to really work? HK said it's only because social media has been designed to addict, confirm, dehumanize young minds. Yes, it has, and we have to protect them. In fact, KB is going so far to say, I'd say 18, to be honest. Short Order Cook said they can't control it, they just can't. George is all for it. The social contagion of gender wackiness wouldn't have taken hold if not for young people accessing TikTok. I have to agree. Oh my God, somebody here is remembering my history. Artifact Reality. That was Keith Murray. Sonia, tell us about the time you got that hip hop artist out of jail. Who was that? It was Keith Murray, who was part of the whole kind of EPMD stables. Keith Murray, well, I wouldn't go so far as to say I got him out of jail, but I certainly was involved in it. But Keith Murray was in the UK touring and was arrested, and basically a fan had shown up and had kind of like stacked tea trays outside his door and then made all manner of claims about him. But he was arrested and released, and I was involved in that. And who is this person who knows about my history? Rachel said my kids didn't have it until 16. Very wise indeed. I mean, I tend to agree with a lot of the comments here. Morning, Roy. Good morning to you. Putting phone into a small child's hand is child abuse, said Asia. Yeah, I hate the way that parents hand their children over to the iPad, right, to raise them. Not good at all. I'm going to welcome in Jeff, because why ever not? Here he is. Good morning, JeffreyPeel.
Good morning, Sonia. How are you this morning?
Well, Jeff, what a day. What a day indeed, everybody. This is JeffreyPeel. If you don't already know, he's a commentator, he's a writer, he's the editor of New Era. And I wanted Jeff here because Jeff is absolutely brilliant on socio-political, geopolitical, and kind of looking at the big picture about what is taking place. Jeff, were you gobsmacked that Trump won the election?
Yeah, I think it was a result that many people wanted, but for a variety of different reasons. So, yeah, I welcome the fact that the American public have sort of thoroughly rejected woke. And obviously, Trump was kind of at the apex of a consortium of different viewpoints, encompassing RFK, obviously, who didn't run in the end because he wanted to throw in his lot with Trump. People like Naomi Wolf from the freedom movement as well sort of sided with Trump. But so therefore, it was a good result. But whether I trust Trump, he's got a checkered history. He certainly didn't represent freedom and liberty when he was in power previously. And of course, there is this big question mark over what he's going to do about the big pharma element in US politics and US society as well.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Of course, we are talking about the father of the vaccine here, and somebody who was absolutely for lockdown. And but the thing is, Jeff, I'm really hoping that all of the people around him, such as Kennedy as one example, I mean, I do find it encouraging that Kennedy has already come out attacking junk food in the US, attacking the problems with breakfast. This is all very heartening and encouraging. I'm all for that. And I'm really about right now, what are they going to do? As opposed to what I personally feel about them, what are they actually going to do? What do you think about in terms of things like Ukraine? Because Trump is basically telling us he's going to end that. We've seen Putin come out, talk about a new world order. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, and obviously the MAGA strapline plays well in terms of non-intervention in foreign wars. And I absolutely applaud what he's been saying about Ukraine. He's also made a statement today about a regime change in Iran, for example, which again is extremely encouraging. My concern, I think, is the fact that at the head of his transition team is this guy, Howard Lutnick. And Lutnick is the CEO of one of the big investment banks, Cantor Fitzgerald. He's a neocon and he's a Zionist. And also he's a sort of carbon maniac. So he kind of aligns with Elon Musk in that respect, in that he seems to want to continue the sort of carbon agenda. But of course, today we hear that the German government has collapsed under the weight of its focus on decarbonizing. So, it is encouraging the fact that the the people, in effect, are having their say, not just in America, but also in other jurisdictions. So I think that I tweeted the other day that woke is dead. I think that is possibly one of the consequences of Trump's election. And yeah, your map shows the degree of support at county level across the US states. It was absolutely remarkable result. But I think that does reflect the fact that he represented a coalition and quite a diverse coalition as well. Obviously people from the freedom movement, people who want to get the pharmaceutical industry out of people's lives, and people who want to liberalize American society and uncouple corporatism from American life as well. So I think we need to have a watching brief. We need to hold truth to power. We need to find the government accountable for if they go off script. So it's to be encouraged, though, the fact that we're suddenly hearing the right noises being made by some of the global leaders in terms of shaking off this nonsense.
And talking about shaking off this nonsense, Trump has almost wholeheartedly rejected the whole gender agenda. And this is a typical example of the Biden administration. This is Admiral Levine, who was made health secretary. And well, you can see Admiral Levine for yourself, really. And I think the whole idea is Trump is talking about how he's going to stop, puberty blockers, how there's going to be a complete rewind about what has happened to children in terms of gender. And again, Jeff, I do think that this is largely a rejection of the woke mind virus, as Elon Musk calls it, rather than an all embracing of Trump. But I could be wrong. What do you think?
Yes, I think it is. I think it is very much a rejection of what has come before. I'm a little bit skeptical, though, about the Biden administration, in that they rammed this type of nonsense down our throats, and it almost became a kind of, in absurdia level of crazy in terms of wokeism. And I don't know if you saw Biden's sort of farewell speech at the White House, but he just came across as incredibly sane and very polished,
right?
Which makes you wonder whether the whole thing was an act. We've talked often about Mary Finch's position, in terms of they're all actors, they're all playing a part, and of course they're all being manipulated by nefarious powers behind the scenes. But that in itself indicated that Biden was actually quite relieved to be out of the place and relieved to be walking off stage left, allowing the new lead part actor to take over from him. So you do get the feeling that they're just moving the chairs, but ultimately it's about appearing to be relevant. I wrote down before coming on to this program, I thought there's 5 key areas that we need to be watchful for. One is the involvement of Peter Thiel in government. We know that Vance, for example, is his protege, and Thiel is responsible for quite a few really repulsive organizations, such as Palantir, which seems to be wanting to take over the NHS, patient record system, and is heavily involved in some very, very dodgy activities in Israel. Then there's Musk's carbon agenda, because we can't forget that Musk, because he was very much behind Trump's campaign, and this was his Novus Ordo Seclorum, essentially announcing the new era, the new world order. Was he simply pulling our strings? Was he, jagging our chains or whatever with this tweet? Because obviously he incensed a lot of people who thought that actually this was just more of the same in terms of the establishment manipulating things to our disadvantage. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps he is saying that this is a new world order, a breaking free from the wokeism of old. But there remains this issue of Musk's carbon agenda. You know, he is the CEO or chairman or whatever of a battery car company. You know, he has ridden on the back of the carbon agenda. So we need to have a watching brief about that, whether it's going to come back in through the back door. Then there's the digital dollar initiative, which Musk seems to be really popularizing. And obviously the idea is that Twitter could be, or X, or whatever it's called these days, should be part of that, you know, in terms of offering currency trading. The other big question mark is whether we see the return of the neocons, people like Mike Pompeo. You know, this is a revolting individual. Even Tucker Carlson drew attention to the fact that he wanted to like bump off Julian Assange while in office. You know,
exactly.
So if we see these people returning back into the front bench team, then it's going to be really concerning. And then, of course, there's the big question over big pharma. You know, is RFK going to be given control over the health agencies? I think it's really questionable that he is. He could be sidelined very easily and very quickly. He's not an elected representative. Yes, he was involved in the campaign, but that could have been just about getting that vote share. So there's a question mark. And I think the one thing I would say is that there is a real need, and there's an opportunity for the Securities and Exchange Commission to investigate the initial public offers of both Moderna and BioNTech. These are the two companies that were behind two of the vaccines. And RFK could call immediately for an investigation into the IPOs, and obviously Bill Gates' involvement in both of those. And there's a nice, easy win that would prove to us all that he's serious and that Trump is going to give him some power within his administration.
I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? The thing is maybe I'm being gullible here. Maybe I'm being naive, but I sense that at least something can change, because otherwise Trump is literally doing what Keir Starmer has done, right? And that is promise everything and deliver nothing. But it is going to be interesting to see who he brings into his administration and whether he brings in Wall Street like he's done before. But I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel that there is a change in the air, Jeff? I definitely do.
I think so. I think that the last thing we should be doing is saying, oh, this is just more of the same. It isn't. You know, he was elected. He did get a landslide victory. And not like Starmer's landslide victory. He did genuinely engage the interest of the electorate. And that interest was engaged largely because they wanted to get rid of the old, that they did want a new era, which was about accountability to the people, about clearing out the swamp and so on, doing all of those things that Trump failed to do in his previous administration. You know, I put up a graph last night on Twitter showing the increase in US national debt. And of course, Trump himself was responsible for the creation of the lion's share of that debt, particularly in 2020, when, you know, he he was the start of the wave in Western societies of lockdown. And obviously also the vaccine rollout. You know, Biden took over from where he left off.
Operation Warp Speed, yes.
Operation Warp Speed, which resulted in billions of dollars. I think it's about $11-12 billion being invested in these companies, of course, that we all know about now. Companies like Moderna and AstraZeneca, for example, were recipients of the money from Operation Warp Speed. And of course, people became billionaires on the back of that, because when these companies did their initial public offers, people made billions. There's a pair of twins in Germany who on the back of the BioNTech IPO made literally billions of dollars when BioNTech floated on the NASDAQ market. And of course, Bill Gates made hundreds of millions for his so-called philanthropic foundation. So questions do have to be asked. And this is a prime opportunity. He has a mandate to ask these questions. But the key thing is that he must not be manipulated by the same characters, the same cast of characters that were manipulating his previous administration. And that's why I would say again, you know, who the hell am I? But if we, Sonia, your program, I'm sure, is resonating all over the place, but Howard Lutnick is the wrong choice of a transition lead. This guy needs to get out. I mean, out of this administration. And we need to get somebody from the RFK camp overseeing the transition. And of course, the BBC is choosing to ignore our RFK's involvement in Trump's campaign.
Which is curious, isn't it? That tells us so much. What does it tell you, Jeff?
Well, obviously, they want more of the same. You know, they are still banging on ad nauseum about the so-called climate emergency. And they're actually casting Trump as a sort of public buffoon for suggesting that there is no such thing as a climate emergency, and that he will be drilling again for oil and gas, and he will make the United States self-sufficient in fossil fuels. Meanwhile, of course, there is a big move towards improving efficiency, much more efficient hybrid automobile engines and so on and so forth, which can actually reduce global dependence on these products. But there is no requirement for us to create fear in terms of a so-called climate emergency. And, you know, we really need to question all of these narratives that are still there, but are flying in the face of electoral reality, because the majority of the population of America now sees through all of this nonsense.
Absolutely.
And the BBC is going to become a total anachronism if they don't wise the hell up.
Absolutely. Trump actually said one of the most urgent tasks, not only for our movement, but for the country, is to decisively defeat the climate hysteria hoax. The ocean is rising and it's rising, he said, and he made it very melodramatic. But the point was taken. And so, again, I think this for me is like, it really felt like we were in a situation where it was all inevitable. We were trundling towards the 15-minute cities and, digital and continual backing of Ukraine and the Middle East and the whole kind of, woke scenario, and everything just felt like that we were just on this destination, this path. And I feel that what this has actually done this week is almost put the brakes on it. It might not have stopped it, but it feels like the brakes have been put on a lot of this stuff. What do you think?
Yes, I think you're right. And I wrote an article yesterday on the New Era as to how it might be appropriate for us to react, for example, in terms of Musk's tweet. And I think the way for us to react is the way that hopefully we're reacting right now, to ensure that he stays on the rails here, to continue questioning whether he is focused on his mandate that he's just won so decisively from the electorate. And we have to keep him focused. I think there is a questionable relationship between, you were saying earlier about whether children, for example, should be on social media. And Musk has been making a lot of noise about how successful Twitter has been in defending free speech and so on. And there is some degree of merit in that. You and I both, and lots of people within the broader freedom movement still make use of Twitter. And without Twitter, I think it would have been very difficult for Musk to get his message through. He certainly couldn't have got it through the mainstream media. But there is a big question mark over people who are, in effect, controllers of monopoly organizations, because it would appear that X is becoming a monopolist in obviously providing a platform for people and a free speech platform for people. But there's a big question mark over to what extent he's able to suppress that free speech, for example, by amplifying sycophants and perhaps not giving enough amplification to people who are genuinely holding truth to power. So that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out over the next weeks.
Sorry, Jeff, you did make a comment about that, actually, and I'm going to read part of your tweet. There's something intensely creepy about this. And this was in reference, I think, to Elon Musk being on the Joe Rogan show, because they're all kind of like, it's a very small group, isn't it? It's like Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Donald Trump, and they are a very small group, but they are monopolizing. There's no doubt about it. And so I am concerned about Elon Musk's X, because I never forget what he said, and that was freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. And that is absolutely bearing out in actuality. Although having said that, some of my tweets still will get, thousands of likes. So it just depends. But I think that there are a select few accounts on X, and I would have to question whether they're legit. They are anonymous. They tweet out dis and misinformation on a regular basis. Trump himself tweeted disinformation on the eve of the election, essentially, putting out a post that the Podestas were responsible for the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. And anybody who has looked into the case of Madeleine McCann know that's absolute rot. But he amplified that message. And those things are problematic. How much can we actually trust X in the bigger picture? And also, this is for you to answer, Jeff, and that is, if he is offered a job in Trump's administration, surely he can't also be running a social media as well.
Yeah, and that's my concern. I think there could be something odd that might happen in terms of the role that X plays in American society, particularly if it becomes a distribution platform for like dollar stable coins, because there was one of the senators announced this morning that she was recommending the creation of a sovereign wealth fund denominated in Bitcoin, which would allow organizations like X to put up dollar stable coins backed by Bitcoin, held by the Treasury, and ultimately potentially scrapping the Federal Reserve, which obviously is a big objective for Musk. So therefore, you would have an organization essentially controlling the money supply, hypothetically, if X becomes a dominant player in that regard. So therefore, it would need to be nationalized. And, Trump would essentially need to gift it to the nation. So is that his end game? That would be incredibly laudable. He has made a point in the past that he's not that interested in making money any longer, not so much he doesn't know what to do with it. So maybe there is good intent there. I just don't know.
Oh,
but
God.
Then I get worried when he wants to stick brain implants.
Well, exactly. And I apologize if I just accidentally said it was Trump who amplified that message about the Podestas. It was actually Musk. But yes, exactly. There's so many mixed messages from him. I don't trust Elon Musk. I keep a distance from him. And the sycophancy around him on that platform is just abhorrent to me, frankly. But Jeff, before you leave us, any ideas what may happen in the next few days? Oh,
it's anyone's guess. I think he'll stick to the narrative over the next few days and weeks, very rigidly, because he doesn't want to be labeled as a sort of turncoat or disowning a large chunk of his constituency. I think the key question is how long RFK can hang in there, in the face of potential stonewalling in terms of his authority and his role within the administration. So I think it's going to be worth keeping an eye on RFK and some of his acolytes like Naomi Wolf to see how they respond over the next few weeks. But if you watch Whitney Webb and what she's saying, she provides a very good bellwether for the direction of the administration, and she's highly cynical about Trump's intent. So definitely Whitney Webb is one to watch here in terms of providing an antidote, to some of the more floral statements by Trump and Musk.
I hear you. And I suspect what also is going to continue to happen over the next few days is there's going to be this analysis of how did it happen? The Daily Mirror is completely echoing what is the problem, right? Because they seem to have no idea why this has happened. It's happened because of publications like the Daily Mirror and the Guardian who now need staff to have counselling because somebody's been elected. It's tragic, Jeff. It really is. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Jeff. Truly appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Come back
Great
again soon.
Sonia.
Everybody, sure. JeffreyPeel, take good care of yourself, Jeff. Lovely to have you with us. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And all dandy. Yeah, that headline there kind of says it all. They have no clue, do they? It's fake shooting though, says Humphrey. Yeah, I'm still not buying that. I'm not buying it. Shalini cannot stand the Guardian. I feel you, sister. I feel you. Our show is whizzing through, people. It's whizzing through. And the Edinburgh decapitation victim has been named by police. Do you remember we talked about that on Monday? Horrendous. Pensioner Michael Lenigan, 74, died, we are told, after he fell under the wheel of a bus in a tragic accident last Saturday. Video was all over social media. We actually saw a man think that it was a Halloween part of a Halloween costume and actually pick it up. It was just awful, 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 awful. Mr. Lenihan's family rather has released a statement which said, "We wish to thank all the members of the public and emergency services involved. We would now ask for privacy at this time." Sergeant Paul Ewing of the Road Policing Unit in Edinburgh is running the investigation and says anyone with information is asked to call the police via 101. Please quote incident number 3395 of Saturday, November the 2nd, 2024. It was odd. It was odd. I looked into it actually. And what happened was after his head had been found, nightclubs and bars were ordered to be closed. Students were evacuated from their accommodation, which again was all odd. One resident said that the Cowgate, which was the area in Edinburgh where it was, is usually mobbed on a Saturday night, but the bars and pubs inside the police cordon were all closed by 8 p.m. And I wanted to know, how common is it that decapitation can result from a road traffic accident? So I researched it and actually I found out it was extremely rare. Decapitation is a rare occurrence in road traffic accidents, actually accounting for less than 0.01% of all traffic injuries. It is considered extremely rare, and with good reason. And I then sought advice from a number of people, including a personal injury lawyer, to ask him what he thought about it. And he said, again, it is extremely rare. And sometimes the only reasons that it happens when it comes to road traffic accidents could be a high-speed collision. That wasn't what it was. Could be sharp debris that resulted in it. It could be a vehicle rollover. None of these things appear to be what happened with Mr. Lenihan. And there could also be compromised safety features, the attorney said to me. If there was a motorcycle involved, that could be problematic. All of these things, none of it seems to apply. So it's all rather odd. Yes, MB, they closed all the surrounding buildings. Yes, they did. Usually happens to bikers due to the helmet, weight and attachment. Shug, that is exactly what this attorney said to me. That's when it happened. So it is odd. There's no getting around it. It's very odd. But my thoughts certainly are with the family. And I just think it's curious. And for me, there has to be a question mark over that. I cannot just accept that official narrative as is. That doesn't really add up. Yes, George, that's what we're being told. What's that on? I sure hope you and the chat have seen George Galloway's opening monologue. It was glorious, possibly his best opening ever. I haven't seen it, but I'll watch it now. I will. Okay, so what else could it have been? North Red, I cannot say on here. I'm on a YouTube live stream, but I find it curious that it was on the 2nd, which is considered one of the 2 days of the dead. It followed Halloween, that there was a similar incident, although it didn't result in a death or decapitation, to the day in Cowgate, Edinburgh, that also happened. So I'm just adding all those things together, and I don't know is the answer. I don't know. Ian says official narratives seem to be rarely true, and ain't that the case? Yes, it is. Let me move on. We're working well through our stuff today, people. Did you? Hazel contacted me, said, did you ever look into Levi Davis's case? After he posted that video and then went missing, it would appear his mum is correct in that there doesn't seem to be anywhere near the effort put into finding out what happened to him compared with Madeleine McCann. Well, let me reassure you, Hazel, there is no effort for any missing person compared to Madeleine McCann. As we all know, Levi Davis, of course, was an X Factor star, a rugby star, a very talented rugby player, former contestant on the UK's X Factor, was last seen on October the 29th, 2022, outside the Old Irish pub in Barcelona, Spain. He had been staying with a friend in Ibiza, but left suddenly for Barcelona with only a small backpack, limited clothing, and little money, 3 hours after arriving on the mainland. Now, what I had completely forgotten was that my dear old friend, JJ Adatona, was the last photographer to photograph Levi in Ibiza. And I remember at the time when Levi went missing and JJ contacted me because people were like, all the newspapers were like just stealing his pictures and everything. And I was like, you've got to protect yourself, got to protect what belongs to you. So JJ kind of basically filled me in on what Levi was like and what was happening with Levi. And JJ said Levi, there was no doubt that Levi was in some trouble. No doubt whatsoever. They were at a party together in Ibiza. They left the party to actually take the pictures. They're the famous pictures of Levi in his trunks. But before Jay had met him on that occasion, he had become aware by Levi that Levi had previously gone to Australia to get away from bad people. When he was playing rugby, he was deeply troubled, said Jay. And Jay got to know him over a period of 3 months, knew it was serious when he left the Instagram post that big people were exploiting him. JJ is absolutely positive that Levi is dead. JJ told me yesterday, I spoke to him yesterday, I said, remind me of everything. He said, Levi tried to swim from Barcelona to Ibiza. And a ferry saw him, threw him a floater, informed the Coast Guard, and then Levi was gone. That was what JJ told me. And Sasha is asking me if I've read the Byline Times piece, and I have. So Byline Times have done a piece about Levi, and it increasingly looks likely, and this is what JJ was echoing to me, that Levi was dealing with a blackmail plot against him. Days before he was last seen, this is according to Byline now, days before he was last seen, Levi said online his life was in danger. We saw that. He posted a video on Instagram over an alleged blackmail plot. And there have been reports of failings in the Spanish police investigation, which led safeguarding minister Jess Phillips to back Levi's mum's call for review of new evidence. And Levi's mum, Julie Davis, says she feels abandoned by the Spanish police and believes her son was a victim of crime. Julie is from Solihull, West Midlands. She said, we have felt abandoned by the police. They pulled out all the stops to find Jay Slater and search for Madeleine McCann. They need to do the same now for Levi. Until his body is found, I will not give up. Why should she? Why should she give up? And so just going on with the Byline Times story, what they're actually saying is that they've seen a series of WhatsApp messages between Levi and a leading British TV executive. Right. So this is interesting. They are claiming that Levi was essentially groomed for nude casting by this leading television industry figure. Levi identified the individual, a heavyweight in the world of program making, to 4 separate sources before disappearing in Barcelona. And Jay backed this up. Jay said that after Levi was on the X Factor, he was targeted. And so what we're actually hearing is it is highly likely that Levi was the victim of grooming and then sextortion. Essentially, he became embroiled in the world of this possibly TV executive and other TV and media executives for abuse parties, not dissimilar to what was going on with Diddy, actually, but just in the UK, not dissimilar. And it's really interesting. One of the things Jay said to me yesterday was a TV detective, and I don't know who that was. I don't know whether that was Mark Williams Thomas or somebody else, but JJ said a TV detective attempted to mislead people into the whole idea that this was to do with Somalian gangs. It was nothing to do with Somalian gangs. Levi was being blackmailed by people high up in the entertainment industry in the UK, right? That's what I'm being told. And that's from somebody who was one of the last people with him. Okay. And Levi had posted on the 24th of October, 2022, this post to Instagram where he outlined that. He also sent it separately to Friends for Safekeeping. It was deleted after a day. And I think that Levi Davis, according to my friend Jay, is no longer here with us. And I believe that he was very possibly driven to his death one way or another as a consequence of people high up in the television industry in the UK. Yes. Yes, they are everywhere. Shug. They absolutely are everywhere. No, well, Sasha, I don't know where you're getting that from, but I'm getting it firsthand from the man who was there, that he did go in water, that he actually tried to swim from Barcelona to Ibiza. Now, why would somebody do that? What level of desperation would make somebody do that? Don't know at all. So anyway, so I think this is interesting. The police need to do more. That there is a dossier of evidence that Byline Times have compiled for the police, including the name of that TV executive. Okay. And one of the things that the TV executive was, so basically the TV executive was grooming Levi throughout these WhatsApp messages. He was sending unsolicited sexual references. And at one point, when Levi declined to reveal the size of his actual manhood, the man tells him the gays will love you too. And Levi also came out as bisexual shortly before his death as well. So all of these things are sort of interesting. What really happened to Levi Davis? And, you know, one of the things that Byline is claiming is that this TV executive had photos of Levi at a sex party. It was when he was on Celebs Go Dating, while he was still presenting as a straight guy. And it may well be that Levi was, I don't know, drugged or whatever into doing certain things that he found personally shameful and was deeply concerned about it. But it is highly likely that Levi was suffering as a consequence of blackmail from industry executives. So we hope that the truth is known for Levi. We hope it is. And Byline Times did approach the TV executive. He did not deny messaging Levi on WhatsApp. He said he offered him a break in a premium television show. And he denied, he denied offering Levi a break in a television show under false pretenses or trying to obtain his private information. So as I say, the dossier of evidence is available to the police. So I hope they follow it up. B, Levi, when he was on the talent show, was only about 19, 20. He was very young indeed. Very sad. No One's Flower. Has Mark Devlin covered it? No One's Flower. Interesting. And we're zooming through now, people, just to say there's that year again, 2030. Guess who's got in on the act of 2030? Only Galaxy Chocolate. Galaxy is a chocolate bar made and marketed by Mars Inc. in the UK. And they said, we are fully committed to transparency as we continue our journey towards helping 1 million people thrive by 2030 and will provide updates on our progress as we achieve milestones along the way. That's our promise to you, our consumers. Oh, you can't trust anybody or anything nowadays. I would just say, just boycott Galaxy because they are all part of the agenda. And it makes me sick. Quick one. Let me bring this. Let me just take Levi off the screen. Anybody know what this is? This is from Susie. Susie sent this. This is a short video filmed from my back door in the early hours of morning of November the 5th using torchlight. What is falling on us from the sky? Susie said, it's not rain, it's not snow, not wet, and relatively mild for this time of year. Okay, everybody, have a look at this. What do you think this is? Can you see it? It looks like lines, doesn't it? Any thoughts there in the comments? Thank you for sending this in, Susie. Interesting. I find it curious. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a combination of snow and rain. Dust, says Craig. Yep. Do you see it, right, Shug? Yep. Sasha thinks that Levi could be alive and locked up in a brothel. Anything is possible. I allow for that. So what is that? Sleet? No, Susie said it isn't. But I don't know what it is. Graphene, says Brett. Interesting. Curious. Ash, says Richard. That was my first thought, Richard. Bonfire. Yeah, but it's the early hours of the morning. Was there a bonfire, Susie? Tell us. Let us know. Thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. And let me quickly show you these. Mrs. Pirate, who's often in the chat. Look at the state of that. Mrs. Pirate sent us that. I thought I'd send you these from Saturday. They were taken on the 27th of October over Hemel Hempstead in Hertfordshire. Look at the state of that. Don't anybody tell me that is enormous. Don't anybody tell me that is normal. It's not normal. State of the skies, man. Absolute state. Hello, Chesterfield. Ian's in the house with us. Could be Ash. There's a volcano kicking off at the moment, says Sailorware. Yes, indeed. State of Mrs. Pirate Sky, though. Awful. It's creepy, Emma. It is. It's creepy. Absolutely creepy. Right. I'm on to the last point, and I've done it in time. Woohoo! I'll tell you all about my adventures on Monday, by the way, where I'm off to. But I'm on a mission. And I want to talk about imposter syndrome, right? Because a friend mentioned it to me this week, and this is an accomplished friend, right? This isn't a friend who has her own business. She's living a really good life. She's very balanced out. Her children are fine. Her partner's fine. Her business is fine. And she said to me this week, I still feel like an imposter. Sometimes when I rock up in meetings, I'm like, I don't know anything that's going on here, and they're going to find me out. And I thought, you know what? That is very common amongst actually high achieving people. It's a pattern of thinking, makes us doubt our accomplishments, and makes us fear being exposed as a fraud. Okay. And there are actually, according to people who document these things, 4 P's of imposter syndrome, which are perfectionism, paralysis, people pleasing, and procrastination. And I think it's really interesting, although others say there are more, but there are also types of people who tend to be impacted by imposter syndrome. So obviously imposter syndrome is the idea that despite outwardly appearances, despite all the things that you've achieved, somewhere still inside of you says that you're fake, that you're not the real McCoy, that you're not the real thing. And so there are a number of types. As I say, the perfectionist, that is often people who suffer from the imposter syndrome. And actually, natural geniuses are people who also are impacted by imposter syndrome. They simply struggle to believe that they are naturally as brilliant or intelligent as they truly are. And that may be for a combination of reasons. See, these things don't happen for no good reason, right? We would have an imposter syndrome because something will have happened to us either in childhood or in our teen years that makes us feel not worthy, that makes us feel fraudulent, that makes us feel like a fake. Maybe somebody called out something we were doing. Maybe somebody kind of like, you know, were horrible about something we had done. Mrs. Pirate is in the comment. Imposter syndrome is high amongst high achieving working class people. Yes. And also soloists, people who go solo, right? They often feel like an imposter because they don't necessarily have a team around them, you know, kind of like backing them up. And then there's also this thing called the super person. This type of imposter syndrome, according to experts, involves believing that you must be the hardest worker or reach the highest level of achievement. And if you don't, you are a failure and you are a fraud. Oh my God, awful. Yes, Vanessa, it could be upbringing, not being good enough. Look at the great Ronnie O'Sullivan. Yes. Me, myself, and I. Yes. Who wants to come across as arrogant? I say I have intelligence, but lack common sense makes me more likable because I'm not a total smart ass, says Teresa. I wouldn't go so far as say you lack common sense, Teresa. Who told you that? Who told you that? So how do you know if you have imposter syndrome? Do you agonize over even the smallest details? Do you attribute success or luck to outside factors, whatever that is, like, oh, I got that only because I'm a woman and they needed to make up the woman quota? You know what I'm saying? Like, perhaps start looking at you got it because of you. Okay. And, you know, are you sensitive to even constructive criticism? Because that can also set you up for being somebody who is susceptible to imposter syndrome. And I mean, there's ways around it, obviously, and that is one of the ways around it, and that is to remind yourself what you've achieved so far. I always talk about this jar that I used to like to keep, right? And that was a jar where I'd put in it things, nice things, good things that had happened, achievements that I'd made, even if it was only ticking off something on a list. And then when I was having a down day, I'd just put my hand in the jar and I'd bring it out and be like, oh, yeah, I did achieve at that before. Yes, Stephen, Stubborn can also be it because you can be stuck in a mindset of I'm not good enough and refuse to move out of it. What else we got here? It doesn't help that life experience doesn't come with was that a manual? Was that with a diploma? Says Short Order Cook. I get you. And also self-doubt. Self-doubt is if you need expert help to unravel why you have self-doubt or why you set yourself sometimes impossible goals and then feel that you're a failure because you fall short of them. Look into that. Start to dig deep. Start to unpack it. 2024, I reckon, is the year of transparency. This is the year to go to work on yourself. Yes, it is. And lots of things can cause it. Family upbringing. Research suggests that upbringing, family dynamics can play a part in you feeling an imposter. And also, some studies have also suggested that if you come from a family that had a high level of conflict with low amounts of support, you can also be very susceptible to feeling like an imposter as well. Social anxiety can create it. In fact, social anxiety and imposter syndrome may overlap. A person with social anxiety disorder may feel as though they don't belong in social or performance situations, as one example, and that can overlap. So coping with it, ask yourself some essential things. What core beliefs do I hold about myself? Do I believe I am worthy of love just as I am? And must I be perfect for others to approve of me? Ask yourself those 3 questions. Start to unravel what it is that makes you feel like an imposter, and take baby steps. Share your feelings. Focus on others. Stop navel gazing so much, perhaps. It's like if you're in a situation and you start to feel like you're shining the spotlight, you've got yourself under a magnifying glass, divert your attention, distract yourself, look elsewhere. And I'll tell you what is a killer. Stop comparing yourself to others. You have your own route. Not everybody peaks at 20 or 30 or 40, right? Not everybody has their moment in the sun at those ages. Some people have to wait till they're 70 to have their moment in the sun. So do not give up, do not despair, but question your thoughts and stop fighting your feelings. If you feel really awful and really crap about yourself, examine them. Why do I feel that way? What has made me feel that way? What has triggered it on this occasion? Where might it come from? So you are the real McCoy. Don't forget that. I'm going to have to end, darling people. I'm off on a mission. I will see you on Monday. We did it. Hour and 15 minutes. So it can be done. Thank you to all my wonderful guests. Thank you to all the people in the live chat. Thank you for being here today. And I will see you on Monday for our normal show. And I just want to end on a quote. And that is, the desire wouldn't be in your heart if you weren't capable of achieving it. Remember that this weekend. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you all in the live chat for being here with me today on this sort of groundbreaking week in many, many respects. And let us pray, I certainly do, that Kennedy is given the remit that he needs in order to be able to tackle Big Pharma once and for all. On that note, have a fantastic weekend. I will see you Monday, lovely people. God bless you all. And thank you to my 2 wonderful, wonderful mods. See you Monday, everybody. Take care.